to give me problems. It started acting crazy. I don't know. Anyway, Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this the daily. It's the daily go get mism show. You think it ain't when it is? You think it won't when it is? We are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting, and everything is going to be all right. We're talking about being the cool mom or dad tonight. The troubles of being the cool mom or being the cool dad, the problems with being the cool parent. Now, of course, these problems, these issues, this situation only exists if you have children. But then again, even if you don't have any children or don't have any biological children, it doesn't mean that you don't take care of children, that you don't raise children, that you're not instrumental in rearing children. But anybody who has ever raised children, anybody who has ever had kids knows that raising children is a challenge. They know that, kids get out of hand, they learn things, they follow peer pressure, they fall victim to being followers sometimes. Sometimes they're a leader in a good way, sometimes they're a leader in a bad way. But there's a lot of controversy between parenting styles amongst parents of different children. So where some things may work in this household, they may not work in the next household. And sometimes when people know each other socially, they may have things to say about the way that such and such are raising their kids. And because children will compare notes with their friends, with their family members like cousins and stuff like that, you may have to hear from your kids about the job that somebody else is doing versus the job that you're doing and whatever, and you may resent it. But we're talking about the problems with being a cool mom or a cool dad. See, the thing is, a lot of adults say, that's what's wrong with these parents out here today. They want to be friends with their kids. They need to stop being friends with their kids and be a parent to their kids. And I'm thinking like, that's an interesting take. And I understand what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that if you are trying to be more of a friend to your children, if you're looking for validation from your children, then they're probably not going to respect you. They're probably going to be running amok. They're probably just going to be doing their own thing. They're probably going to be staying out at night and getting into trouble and starting to have sexual behavior earlier than they're supposed to and things like that. And I'm wondering, like, is that what being a cool parent is about? Is that what being a friend to your children is all about? Because I'm not really sure if that's the applicable thing. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about the problems with being the cool mom. Who grew up with the cool mom or the cool dad or both? I've known some people who grew up that had hippies as parents. And I've seen it happen two ways. Either the hippie parents were too liberal and, basically let anything their kid did, anything that their kids do or anything that their kids did, they gave them a pass for it. So they may have started smoking weed too early, drinking too early and all of that. And then the hippie parents might have been like, well, they'll learn, we all went through that. And weed is not a bad thing, and this is, we talk about back in the 70s, 80s or whatever, before weed was in vogue like it is now. And before we understood the effects of it now, before the stigmatism of it being an herb versus it being a drug was a thing. So, of course, the good parents, of course, the disciplinary parents, of course, the responsible parents was like, nah, see, this what we talking about. This what we talking about. Yo, you ain't gonna be smoking in my crib. You ain't gonna be And then I've known the other hippie parents, and I'm only talking about the hippie parents right now. This is just an example. You know what I mean? Don't calm down, everything good. I've known the other hippie parents that sort of bucked all of their hippieism. They sort of bucked all of their hippieism, like, nah, they were a little bit more disciplined. So even though they may have looked all crazy, long hair with the, like, think white people with dreads. Very rarely do you see a white person that wears dreadlocks that doesn't smoke a lot of weed. Damn, you're early. All right, you can get in early, but where's my cursor?
You have a call.
All right, you just got to fall back for a minute. All right, so I got you, but let me bring you in because I ain't done my intro. Yet. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about tonight. The problems with the cool parent, baby. Problems with the cool parent, baby. Are y'all ready to can we get it like the problems with the cool parent? Who is in the house tonight? Let me hold on. Let me get a good look. Vita B, what's good, Vita? What's up? Mia Cunningham, what's up? Maritza Allberg, thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. And OG says my son Riz, my son Rizm with the tism. My dad was a plug, and my mom was a okay. All right. And my man Omar, my namesake, what's going on, my dude? How you feeling, my guy? He says my dad smoked crack and rolled joints, and my mom was more into women. They were always at odds. He always went rock, paper, and my mom scissored. That's interesting as all hell. Annette Long, the family meeting is in the house. The family meeting. Annette Long, what's going on? My, good to see me some you. And also Cheryl Halsey, what's good? All right, so we good now. Oh, now we good now. And now we good now. Y'all, don't forget to hit the like button right now. Everything is gonna be alright. It's going down. Yeah, problems with the cool mama dad. Yeah, best parents that I ever had. But I still had to do my homework. Cause if I didn't, I was gonna get hurt. Yeah, I still held it out. Yeah, ask what it's all about. Other parents can't judge all they want. But my mom never let me smoke the blunt. But she knew something was going on in the basement. Yeah, and I was facing a lot of trouble. Sometimes I got put grounded. Yeah, but it's still crazy sounding. You know how you don't always respect the parents because you don't think they know it, and it's pretty apparent that you think you know it all, baby. You don't know shit, maybe when you get to that age, you can break out, be free out of the cage. But for now, the thing is going down like a submarine. Keep your sneaks clean. My name is Sun 752. Yeah, rocking every night is what I do at 2 in the morning. Y'all up yawning. Yeah, where my insomniacs? Where my insomniacs? Yo, where my Yeah, we keep it rocking all night, baby. We don't start till 4 and maybe Yo, it's gonna get crazy tonight. Are you ready? Are you getting kinda hot? Yeah, talk about the cool parents, cool mom. Yeah, people always over the crib and yeah. No company with the door closed, baby. Yo, these must be crazy. All right, let's get it popping. Let's get it popping, man. Let's get it popping. Shall we? Shall we get it popping? I think we should. I think that we should get the popping. We're going to get the popping right now. We're going to get the popping right now without any further delay. Without any further delay, let's get it popping, man. Let's get it popping. Are you ready? We're going to let it pop. Let it pop. What up? What up? All right. So the problems of the cool mom, the cool dad, the cool parent. I said the cool mom because, in our community, there's so many single parent families being raised by, with the woman being the head of the household. It is what it is. I'm not placing no judgment. But to act like that's not going on in the Black community, that would just be a farce and it would be a lie. You know what I mean? And we're not going to deal with any falsehoods as we try to get through this topic and see what we got. But who grew up with the cool mom? Who had the cool mom? Who always had people at the crib? No restrictions on company. Sleepovers complete with snacks, drinks. Now, I'm not talking about no alcoholic drinks. I'm just saying, like some parents, respected a lot of the social nature of children. So they wanted these children to be like, they wanted the children to have the crib that was inviting to other children, have friends over and all that kind of stuff. So some people had the cool mom. When I think about it, I think I had the cool mom. I didn't realize I did, but I didn't have a lot of restrictions. And I guess my mom kind of got lucky because I wasn't in this shit. I didn't get high. I didn't hooky school. Which is ironic because I didn't like school, but I went anyway. I'm like, I got to get up out of this thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, she gave me a long leash. And I remember my boys used to come over, like my boy from school. He was like, your mom cool as hell. And I was like, I mean, yes, she is, but what makes you say that? And when I went over his house, I understood why he was saying that. His mom was a beast. She was a beast because he was they were Jehovah's Witnesses and they were practicing. So, they had to go on field service on the weekends and all of that kind of stuff. So, it was real. It was real, son. It was real. But she was very strict and she was very investigative and all of that. My mom was newsy. My mom was newsy. I mean, she was an Aquarius. She was newsy as shit. But she wasn't the type that would go in my drawers or, look under my mattress or go through my pockets or nothing like that. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Annette Long says, Kool-Aid House. Okay. Mia Cunningham says, my mom was certainly not the cool mom. Like, nah. Okay, we have a caller on the line early in the game. Let me see. Let me get in here. Caller, welcome to the Daily Go Getimism Show. Sorry for putting you on hold, but thank you for holding. What's on your mind tonight? What's good?
Hey, this is Vita.
You already know. I knew that. You know what I mean? What's going on, Vita? How you feeling? How you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling all right. I'm up for a minute. Thought I tapped in for a minute because this topic hit me. Yeah. So I was like, let me call in for a minute. And I ain't going to be up long because I'm tired. I got to get up in the morning, but I'll be trying to catch you. I really do.
Oh, that's what's up. You know what I mean? I know you always down.
So,
always down.
So growing up, I'm an 80s baby. So growing up, especially in high school, we had cool parents that we could just go to their house and chill. I didn't like school. I went, but I didn't like school. So we had alternatives. We found alternatives. And there was always that cool mom, never let us go to their house and hang out, whatever. But anyway, now I'm a mom, so I'm looking at my situation and I be like, man, how do I fall into this trap? Okay, so I got a daughter get ready to graduate this year, May the 30th. Hallelujah. I'm done. But over the years, the last 3-4 years, this girl has drove me butt ass crazy. Like when it comes to friends, it's social wise.
Okay.
I've been that mom to pick up, drop off, pick up, drop off. And I be looking at other parents like, okay, when y'all gonna get involved? Like when y'all gonna pick her up or drop her off? Cause this one tired. This one is tired. But I prefer to do it sometimes just because 2 weeks ago, that experience, I dropped her off at a little teen club and they didn't get through till 2. I picked up a friend. They went together. But my motto was growing up, if y'all go together, you leave together. This girl left my daughter outside of a club, and there was a lot of people, and I wasn't feeling that. And I told her, listen, if I'm up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm coming to pick you up. This girl, I don't know who she left with. I don't know what the situation is, but we don't do that.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been that mom to be there on scene, on deck, over the years, just taking them trick or treating. I got like a car full of kids and taking them out, walking with them, and taking them out, just going to the mall, what have you. So I get it. So that experience for me over the last 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years has been good. But then again, it's been bittersweet because it feels like, there are some parents that are not actively involved. No doubt. Whether it be the mother or the father, I don't care which one it is, step parent, the grandma, the grandpa, whoever. But then the kids grow up. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? And then these kids when they're like 8, 9, 10 years old, now they're like, 17, 18, and those memories kind of like lapse. You be like, okay, I see what it is, but when I see you, I remind you. And my daughter, she's 19 now. And it's crazy I can say that because 19, they're kind of in the stage of trying to be a young adult, but still an adolescent at the same time. Because she's at home, she's getting ready to graduate, she's not driving, but she wants to drive. So it's like she's kind of in between. You're like, you know what? You got to pick a struggle. Because I'm going to tell you like this generation right here, I don't know what they call it. I forgot what it is, Gen X, all of that. I don't. But I'm going to tell you, my generation, I was ready to drive. At 15, 16 years old, I was ready to drive.
Yeah,
First car I learned how to drive was a stick.
I think hold on. I think a lot of teenagers still want to drive, but because we in that Uber generation, you know what I mean? A lot of them are they'll just get a ride or whatever. And in some ways that might be a good thing because it might tone down it may prevent a lot of drunk driving or driving under the influence or something like that. But do you consider yourself to be a cool mom?
I do.
Okay. So what challenges besides other parents not getting involved, what do you consider to be what can you name like 3 pros of it and 3 cons of it? And did you mean to be the cool mom or did you just kind of fall into it?
No, I fell into it. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. I fell into it because I never think of it like that. But if you need somewhere to sleep, you need somewhere to eat, I'm here. I'm that person. May not be able to give you certain things, but I can recall 2 of my daughter's friends stayed at my house for no lie, probably 2 or 3 months. They didn't live here, but I would get up, carry them to school. I would make sure they got home. I would pick them up, all of that. And they could stay here for days and days and days at a time. I would take them to the store, pick them up clothes that they didn't have. I would just all together just be like that mom. And you know, kind of they looked at I looked at them like almost a second child. And then it was sad is that your kids, they kind of go through phases with friends, because when they fall out of, I don't get that. They call everybody their friend, but then they stop being friends, because you bring them around and then they stop being friends. And now I'm looking at them like, well, what happened to such and such? I ain't nothing no more. Well, then stayed in my house. I picked them up. I fed them. Back in the day, if you call somebody a friend, that was your friend.
Yeah.
I called 2 or 3 people that I can recall friends. And matter of fact, my boyfriends used to get offended as even a young woman in my early 20s, because I adapted that friend phrase as someone close to you and that you really did dig, and that was someone that you called a friend that you would do anything for. I would call my boyfriend a friend. And even when I moved to the South, it was like, why are you called? I'm your old.
Hold on a second. All right. So I'm asking you, what do you consider to be 3 benefits of being the cool mom versus three negative things about being a cool mom? What are
benefits? Yeah, benefits is wise is like you feel empowered. You feel like you're adopting another child. You feel like you're being the one that's always present. Almost like I've been involved in Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Okay.
I've been involved in not Big Brothers. Not only that one, with Girl Scouts. And so being around kids is like there's a benefit.
Okay.
Not only that, you get to be empowered and feel like you are always helping. I've always been that person to be a servant to others. So if you do appreciate certain things with kids, you're going to appreciate being the cool mom, because certain kids have not the same benefits as others. Not even just living in a big house or driving a fancy car, but that love that you bring to the table and bring to them, they appreciate that. And that's something that I felt good about, was because even when I wasn't present, there was a cool mom that was present in my daughter's life when I was working. And she worked for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matter of fact, and I signed my daughter up for Big Brothers and Sisters. And boom, so we're still friends to this day, almost 10 years later. And she's a cool ass mom. Like, she took my daughter to Orlando, didn't charge a dime. She actually bought my daughter certain things, didn't charge a dime. She was there for my daughter from the age of like 8, 9 years old up until today. We are still friends. And so I consider her to be a cool mom, because she knows what it's like to be a mom and be just a cool parent.
Okay.
Period.
So all right. So what are three things that might be negative, or 3 challenges?
You never say no. That's one thing. You hardly ever say no. Ever. You always like present. You always make a way out of no way. You seem to be the go-to. And to be honest, to be quite frank, like over the last, 10 years, when I look back and I see where it is now today, do you really feel appreciated? It's a toss-up if you feel appreciated or not. I was in that generation where I would say definitely I felt that I would show my appreciation. The kids now don't show their appreciation. So that's a bad downfall, because you there for and taking them to, like, here in Florida, in Jacksonville, for example, I would take my cousins, like a little couple cousins and my kids, to this Christmas party every year. And we would go out when they would announce you go and you stand in line. If anybody has a city where they stand in line for those Christmas toys or a Thanksgiving basket, if you stand in line for a Thanksgiving basket or a Christmas line for some hours to serve your family or to serve your kids or to serve these kids that are not yours, and then later on you don't feel appreciated, that's a downfall. Because now you're feeling like you're just wasting your time.
Okay,
Because
so
the kids are being taught at home, and it's hard.
all right, so you're saying entitlement, or them feeling entitled and maybe unappreciative is one of the negative things. What's one more?
Definitely. Oh, your resources, your time, your money. Of course, you're going to spend time and you're going to spend money. So that's definitely a downfall.
Okay.
If you don't want to be that person to be the go-to as a cool person or a cool mom, don't look for nothing back. Do everything from the kindness of your heart. Because at me, I saw that as something as like, I would never get anything back and reciprocated the same way. Meaning, even if it's not the child, the parent. If the parent's not going to reciprocate it back, don't look for it. Do it because you want to do it. Because 9 times out of 10, I have never got the same reciprocation in the last 10 years that I've put in to these kids that I have been there for. So don't look for it back. Do it because you want to do it.
Okay. Hold on a second, okay?
Sure.
Hold on.
You have a call from.
Uh-oh. They were on and then they were off. Caller that just called in. You can call back if you want to get on the line. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the call dropped or whatever the case it may be. But yeah, you can call back and get on. But I was going to ask you, do you think that some parents become the cool parent out of guilt? Like maybe, okay, like for example, let's say your parent, let's say you, okay, hold on a second.
You have a call from.
Okay, so let's say, when you had your children, let's say you were married, just as an example, right? And maybe you wanted to raise your children in a 2-parent family and that didn't work out. And maybe you felt guilty that your children didn't get a chance to be raised in a 2-parent family. So you felt like you failed as a parent on that end. And so perhaps you could start being more accommodating to your children to compensate for the guilt that you may have felt for them not being raised in a 2-parent family. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So do you think that sometimes guilt like that can consciously make a parent become a cool parent, or do you think that like you just kind of fell into it?
Nah, it was kind of for me it was a little bit of both. Because my kid's father was absent. So yeah, I did feel bad about certain things. And when I see that other parents had that and my kids didn't, I always wanted to be present for them when I could. So yeah, I agree with that statement that you look at certain things and scenarios with 2-parent households and it's just not realistic for a single parent household to do the same things that a 2-parent household would do.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, hold on a second. Caller with the last number 7247. Welcome to the Daily Go Getimism Show. Thank you for holding and thank you for calling in. What's on your mind tonight? What's good? Are you there? Last number 7247. Annette Long. It says that she's on the line, but I don't know. Let me see. Let me see if she's having some problems. One thing about this thing is that you can't like drop off one call. So let me see. Let me see. No,
Hear me?
no, that's not
Can
what.
you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. That's not
Okay, I had you on two different screens. I got to talk to you on this
okay.
side. I can't see your face anymore. But hi, son. It's Annette. Family meeting.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
How you feeling tonight?
I'm doing just fine. I told you I had insomnia, so I knew I could catch a show. I thought you said 1:30.
No, we on Friday night we come on at 1:00. But you think of the 1:30 you're talking about is on the weekends, 1:30 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. We're at we on at 2:00 in the morning on weeknights.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, the cool mom. I got two different sides of a cool mom.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a cool mom in the sense that she liked to throw the neighborhood picnics. Her house was like always has been the Kool-Aid house, meaning like she liked the company, we played games. And it was kind of like everybody knew, like my mom was on the pancakes, everybody runs over here. So that's my cool mom. Now, she still had her strict part of, making us in line with everything. But the other cool mom, like that I thought they had cool moms, is because they could smoke cigarettes at 13 in the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then their parents were like cool with that, and then they could actually drink in the house. And I was like, my mom ain't going for that. So to me, they had the cool mom. And, because they could smoke and drink, they were smoking weed. One of them even smoked weed with her mom. That was the real cool mom, okay?
That's a little too cool for me.
Yeah, a little too cool for me, but the philosophy that they had, and my grandmother even, because she ended up being a cool grandmom, because then I could go around there and smoke and drink. But her thought process was, as long as they're doing it in the house, that I know what they're doing.
Okay.
And that's the justification for those type cool moms.
Okay. Now,
so you got. But
now I know that there are degrees of cool parents, and I'm glad that you gave those examples, because when you are a young person, whether you are a kid or pre-adolescent or a teenager, your view of the world is going to change, and in relation to what you're going to consider a cool parent to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's funny how, even though kids may have been doing things, or parents may have been letting some of our friends or family members do things that we didn't even want to do, we may have considered them to be the cool parent.
Right.
It's funny how, like, normally we would think that somebody was cool that let us do the things that we want to do.
Right.
But to look at somebody else's parents and say, like, Dad, even though I don't want to do that, they let them do that. And I think it's interesting that we would consider them to be cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because in the back of our mind, we probably thinking, like, that's probably a little dangerous. You know what I mean? Like the weed and no matter how cool you are, getting high with your kids probably is a little extreme. It's probably not the thing to do. The future might not be, in a good place with this type of behavior. So,
the woman that was just on, she said, I think her daughter, she's 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
Would she feel, okay, I probably can't use her as an example, but I do know a person who had a child when they were a teenager. So their kid, is 20 and they think it's cool to smoke weed with them. And I'm like, I don't think you should do that with your mom. But she thinks that makes her the cool mom.
Yeah. See, and now the example that I was given when you first came on about the parents maybe allowing certain things out of their guilt. I wonder with the parents who get high with their children or drink with their children or allow that to happen under their roof. I wonder if there's a guilt factor involved with that too. But when it comes to substance abuse, there may be a little bit of guilt involved, and then it may just be that they're reckless because of the substance. You know what I mean? Like, certainly you can't get high and be responsible at the same time. You got to pick a struggle.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
what's the struggle? I got to keep that one.
But I'm wondering, like, being cool to that degree, I wonder what's on the parents' mind. Now, when it comes to teenage parents, I've known teenage parents that were really, really good parents. They may have started out earlier than they really wanted to, but they made the best out of it and did the best that they can, and they did well. And then I know the teenage parents that are more like what you were describing, where basically anything went, and it was babies raising babies, and all babies were fair game. You know what I'm saying? So that level of cool mom, the cool mom, the irresponsible cool mom, what do they say when their kids get in trouble because of some of the cool things that they may have allowed? Like, for example, let's say you're the cool mom, cool parent. I don't want to, even if I say mom, y'all, I don't want to make it seem like I'm putting everything on the mothers or on women. Just know that I'm using that example. All right. But if you're the type of cool mom that would, let's say, allow you to have company over of the opposite sex in your room. So when you either get pregnant or get somebody pregnant, what's your response to that? Because I'm not you did, although you didn't participate in the penetration, you set the stage for it to happen. You know what I'm saying? You allowed that. You allowed that area. So just like what your grandmother was saying, as long as they're doing it at home, it's cool. Would that include sexual behavior too?
No,
I'm not talking about with your grandmother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But you know what? A lot of these younger parents are in denial about what their children do, from what I have seen. Because everybody's a good child. I can't understand how they did that. It's always that. They had a little comedy. And his brother said he went to a funeral, and everybody that died after them killed somebody were the best people, read to the blind on the weekends. And the guy's like, stop it. Good and well, he the homicide, he got caught selling drugs, but everybody's a good person.
Yeah.
And I think that a real good case in point, this woman, she had a restraining order against the guy. He is beating her mercilessly, and people kept riding around. So this brother whips around, starts fighting the guy, shot the guy died, but he jumps in the car and he leaves. So the police were like, it's called something, but he wouldn't have gotten in trouble because he was like defending somebody. But then they killed his mother. He was the sunshine of our life. He kept everybody laughing. we just, oh, and I'm like, lady, your son has a domestic violence issue, but it's like denial. It's denial.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, not our child. Everybody whose child seems to get in trouble. The mother always, well, he's really a good kid, and nobody ever takes the kid to court. Says he sucks and lock him up.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is understandable, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder what they feel like their accountability is when shit goes south, when they have to make those when they have to give those explanations, or they have to make those excuses for something that their children have done, whether it's going to jail, whether it's a teenage pregnancy, whether it's on somebody being on drugs, you know what I mean, getting in some type of trouble, when I thought about this, the troubles of the cool mom, these are some of the things that happen, and sometimes worse. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's say you say, well, I would rather drink with my child to make sure that they're not drinking too much or whatever, than for them to be drinking out on the streets. So what happens when they graduate to a more potent or dangerous substance? Like instead of smoking weed, what happens when they want to sniff some coke? You know what I'm saying? Then they're not gonna sniff coke with you. They're gonna find it out there in the streets with somebody. But you've already set the foundation that substance abuse or substance use is okay. I mean, you can't take it back. What you gonna say? Well, weed is okay and alcohol is okay, but coke ain't okay. You can say it. You can say it, and it might be true to you.
But you know what? You're right. And I'm glad nobody that I know is listening to this. But those cool moms, all the kids were crack. They got to be crack addicts.
Man.
They were stealing from their parents. But, did it start by being a cool mom?
Yeah. Yeah. So you have the cool mom or the cool parent that maybe allows a little bit too much for whatever reason, whether it's guilt, whether it's youth and lack of responsibility. But one of the things is when you have some people who were raised under a really disciplinary parent may have pledged to themselves that they were never going to be like that with their own kids.
Right.
So, but they may have never found any balance. You know what I mean? Like, so they may have considered their parents to be totally oppressive, and so they would totally they gave their kids like totally autonomy, but not in a good way. They didn't teach them any responsibility or regulate them first. You know, so it's tough. It's tough, and it's not only I want to reiterate this for the people who are coming in. By the way, everybody, welcome to the Daily Go Getimism Show. What up, AI 8100, my man Troy Diesel, Brandy Kinsey. Thanks for coming through, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Mucho. But a lot of men fall into this cool parent shit too. Like, there are a lot of men that they may feel guilt because they were locked up for a lot of years. You know what I mean? Didn't get a chance to raise their babies. So let's say you got locked up when your child was like a newborn or a toddler. Maybe anywhere from newborn to 3 years old, and you didn't get out until they was like 13. All right. So 10 years you've been out of their life. You missed a lot of their, pivotal moments and a lot of their developmental years or whatever. So to make up for it, maybe you come out, start working, buying them everything they want, which might be okay. It might or might not be okay, because that may not be in accordance to what the other parent was doing. You know what I'm saying? and you may consciously be thinking like, well, I'm gonna do everything that the other parent wasn't doing to try to catch up. You know what I mean? To try to get on my kid's good side or whatever. So you became the cool parent, and you wind up fucking your kids up worse than they might have been when you was locked up. How you explain that? Then they might wind up getting locked up. How about that? I've seen it. It definitely happens. I've seen it happen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You and your pop upstate together. What a reunion.
The pop was upstate, and the both brothers.
It happens. But I'm not sure.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not
anywhere wrong somewhere when the man and his kids are locked up.
Yeah.
Somebody went wrong somewhere. Well, this is something I gotta go.
Okay.
Let your other people talk. I'm just gonna be listening, all right?
I appreciate you calling in, Annette. It's always a pleasure.
No problem.
Good to hear your voice again. Don't hesitate to call in.
Yours. Okay, thanks.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
You still there, Vita?
Yeah, I'm here. I was letting her talk.
Yeah. You know, I almost said your whole name. Like, hey, I mean, Vita, what's up? But yeah, you know, like I was saying, fathers fall into this kind of thing too. You know what I'm saying? Not all fathers are the disciplinary type, the stern, responsible, get it done type. Not all of them are like that.
Right.
You know, there are plenty of fathers that may feel guilt about maybe some of their abusive ways at certain points in people's lives. You know what I mean? Whether it was toward the mother of their kids or towards some of the older kids, you know, so they may have turned into the cool father. But, you know, this word cool, we got to put the word cool in parentheses. I mean, not parentheses, but in quotes. We got to put them in quotes because what's cool to you may not be cool to me. And what's cool to us may not be cool to somebody else from a different culture, race, ethnic background, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, personally, I don't see anything wrong with building a good, healthy relationship with your children. Like one thing about my dad, and you know, when I look back on him, may rest in peace, he was a cool father. But I didn't live with my dad after my mom and my dad was divorced. So you know, it probably would have been a lot different if we were living under the same roof. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my perspective may have been a lot different. But one thing he always said to me was that he always made sure that he kept the lines of communication open with me and him. So he said, listen, sometimes out of your frustration or whatever, if you need to curse, go ahead and curse. He said, because I would rather you go ahead and release that negative energy and get it out. And he said, if I stop you from expressing yourself with exactly the way that you feel, then when you're in trouble, you might not come to me and ask me for help. You know what I mean? And so you can wind up getting yourself in deeper trouble or getting yourself hurt because you didn't feel like you could trust me enough not to fuck you up for making mistakes.
Right.
So I really respected him and I consider him to be cool because of that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I think that we gave our elders back then more respect because we looked up to them as someone who would keep it 100, $1.50 didn't have no chaser on it. I miss my aunties and I miss certain ones that just done passed and gone because they would tell you whether or not, like, they would look at you, you done gained some weight. You went to school today? Nah, you ain't went to school today. Stop lying. You know, what you doing with yourself, your craft. You done played your music. You done drew a picture. I was an artist, so I drew. There's certain things that they would notice about you that they would just keep it 100 with you. And that to me was cool because they didn't have no kind of sugarcoating or nothing. They didn't do it because they felt a way about, you being, neglected or something. They did it because they felt like you had that potential. You were that one, like they are the elders. The elders of my family, I miss them dearly because I feel like at the end of the day, they kept us structured. They kept a certain line of business. And our kids now look at it like they're entitled. And then you bring it back to that. They do feel entitled for some reason. My kids haven't had a dad around. 20, 25, and 19 years old. They haven't had a dad around. One of them, at least, they'll feel entitled. And I feel like it's just because they're spoiled. They know that it's going to get done regardless, whether mom or dad or somebody else, auntie, uncle, or cousin get it done. It's going to get done. They don't know what it's like to have that work for it mentality. So at the end of the day, I still encourage the young folk to do what they got to do. And I keep saying young folk, like I'm really, really old. I feel really old. It's not even old. We just big kids that done grown up. We are all big kids that done grown up.
That's exactly what an adult is. Yeah. I feel you on that.
So at the end of the day, I always reflect back to how I was raised, just like you do as well, because I didn't have no cool. My mom was cool. Don't get me wrong, but my mom wasn't cool like that because I was born in 81, right? And so my mom, she was born in 49, and I was raised by a single parent, basically household. I had my dad up until about 10, but my dad, even now till today, I'm grown. I be looking to him and my brother. My brother's 10 years older than I am, so that makes him 53. I still, as an older woman, look to him as someone I can actually lean on or depend on or give good points from. But sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. And it's like a hit or miss. And I feel like I'm like, okay, well then shit, fuck it. I might as well just do what I know how to do and do it the way that I feel like I'm gonna do it best. But in my mind, my parents were my elders, whether it was my auntie, my uncle, or my mom. And I looked at them as like cool parents because they all helped raise me to be the woman that I am today. And I made a point to my uncle this past weekend when I saw him. I said, you cool. You real cool. Like you the one uncle of the family that anybody can come to for anything. You don't judge them. And my uncle's well-established, single man, got his own house and everything, and got 2 cars and all this, whatever. But he doesn't pass judgment on nobody in the family. But I look to him as like someone he was a cool parent. And even when my mom passed, I looked at him as a parent. And then when you understand when your elders go, you're going to look to someone, whether it be someone that you look up to at your job or your neighbor or somebody that you've been around consistently that you look up to, that's going to be an elder to you. And you look up to them as someone who is a cool parent. Because to be honest, all my cool parents is past. They're gone. They're gone. And my kids, I look to them like, okay, who are they going to look at as a cool parent? I don't know if they look at me necessarily as a cool parent. I just been very laxed with my structure. Like I'm not like my 25-year-old. She can leave on the weekend when she feel like it. She's still home. She ain't got no curfew. She done did what she wanted to do. I ain't really putting no stipulations on them. All I care about is them doing what they need to do for themselves. You know what I'm saying? But are they really where they need to be? No. And I feel like that's because I've been pacifying them in a way. So it's bittersweet.
No,
parent.
Yeah, they're going to be challenges. They're going to be, that's why I asked you earlier in the show, like about what you consider to be the the benefits and some of the pitfalls, because you always going to have the yin and the yang. There are always going to be some things that maybe shouldn't be done, or maybe you could do a little better than before versus how you're doing them now. But you have to get to the point where you can live with the decisions that you've made. And that's why I brought the whole guilt thing up, because your guilt when it comes to disciplining or structuring your children, those are the things that'll keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
And then you get to a point where you're too old. You're too old. Well, I'll say this: your kids are old. Well, I had a different level of thinking, but these kids nowadays, I feel like they're getting too old to where you can discipline them. You can't really discipline them at a certain age. They are getting set in their ways, almost like we were, but we still had a different level of respect for our elders. The generation doesn't really think of it like that. They think of it like they see what they see, they want what they want, and how they gonna get it is how they gonna get it. They don't see it like we saw it. I saw it as like, okay, even if I'm a grown fucking woman and I'm going around my people, if I smoke, I'm not smoking around my elders. And my uncle's invited me to drink around him. I still be feeling awkward sometimes. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, okay, well, I got some respect for you because I can't really, cut loose and be myself like I really want to because and I respect that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm still going to be me, but I'm still going to have that. Now, this generation doesn't have much of a filter. And it's because Trump and all the other presidents and the school system has given them the privilege to feel like they can be so vocal with how they feel. And their feelings get them into trouble. You feel me?
Okay. What age do you think that a child can be before they are quote unquote set in their ways?
Set in their ways. I'm thinking now, based on my personal experience, probably about 18, 17, 18.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Because by that time you kind of lost a lot of foundational things that probably should have been taken care of. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Because the kids are still expecting certain things from their parents. At a certain age, I feel like you think that you will have an own understanding of where you need to be. You shouldn't have to remind kids. And we're adults, right? We're in our 40s, 50s and things, and 30s and 50s. So you look at kids, I tell them all the time, I've been your age. You haven't been mine.
Right.
Oh, that's a guilt trip. My daughter will quickly tell me that if I try to tell her something, it's like a guilt trip. It's not a guilt trip. I'm letting you know, I've been your age. You ain't been mine. I have more years behind me than in front of me. So what you need to understand is that I've been your age before. So what we're going to do is, when it comes to being a cool mom, I have no problem doing the things that I do for you, but you need to understand the level of respect that comes behind that. Because I don't care if you're 25. I will do for you until the day I die, until breath leaves my body. I don't care if you're in your mid 30s or 40s or 50s, as long as you are helping yourself. Like my mom passed when I was 32. And my mom did for me up until the day she died. And I was doing everything for myself, right? So that told me a lot about my mother. My mother would go to bat for me any day. She would do anything for me. And I said the same about my kids, but our generation's different. It just depends on how you plant those seeds, because those seeds will grow and they watch what you do. And then if you do the things that you don't want them to do, oh, honey, oh, Lord.
Yeah, you're going to get this work.
You're going to get the opposite result. I mean, I didn't do things around my kids that I didn't want them to do. Only thing I can say to that is that I went out sometimes, only occasionally, But like if I did go out, it would be on the weekends when I was off and I was always working. So my kids would think now that, okay, well, shit, mom's older, I'm older, I can go out and do what I want to do. Cool. But let me let you understand something. Make sure you have a way home. If I drop you off, it's only more than right for you to have a way home, because at the end of the day, you're old enough. My kids are anyway. 25 and 19. If I drop you off, I feel like you need a way home. And then if I do pick you up, at least put 5 or 10 on the gas. Shit, I ain't even gonna lie. Put something on the gas.
You have a call from.
Asking me for gas because I know you got it.
Right.
Don't hold your money because you're trying to hold it for prom and graduation. No, you done been broke off $300-400, and I paid for your prom dress. So let me let you know something. If I drop you off somewhere, this is responsibility. Responsibility is that if I take you somewhere and then you have the money to contribute to something, you have to do that. And that's just it.
Well, that sounds like a fair exchange to me.
Shit, because they be thinking that they entitled. Because I'm a cool mom.
But the thing is,
I've done it for free so long.
And that's the problem.
You do it for free
you know what
so
I'm saying?
Long,
yeah, that's
they expect it to be done for free forever. You don't expect nothing of them.
Yeah.
When it comes to taking out the trash or doing certain things around, even for themselves. If you want to drive, honey, go and do the mock test. Go and take the practice test so that you can learn what the questions are to help yourself. Because when you go to take the test, it's going to help you. But if you sitting here getting agitated about me telling you, then I can't help you. You feel me? So it's one thing about that. Like, I feel like, at 12 and 13 years, well, I would say 10, between the age of 10 years old to at least damn near 15, you have got to put your foot down. Put your foot down. You
do. But I would say before then.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you're doing everything, the kids expect it to be always done.
Yeah. Now, you don't necessarily have to put it in place where the kids raise themselves, but you have to make sure that they understand that there ain't no free lunch, and that that there are consequences for the things that they do, and that it's important to be respectful in order to receive that for yourself. So, and there are ways that you can do that and still spoil them if that's what you want to do or whatever. They have to understand that nothing in life is all or nothing. You can have some at some points, and then you'll have to leave some at other points. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the foundation thing is very important. So I'm wondering, like, for most cool moms, for most cool parents, I wonder if they understand that balance, if they understand, or if they instill that that separation. If they explain the separation to their kids, like, now I've known some cool parents. I've known some cool parents who still made sure that their kids did what they were supposed to do, and were held accountable or whatever, but they still were able to, do the things that they wanted to do, and stretch out, have company, and still have a lot of fun and all of that. Just like when you go to work, you got to work all week or whatever, but you get the weekends to go ahead and do whatever you want to do. So kids should understand that too. First you work, then you play. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to make the work part like super, super long and the play part super, super short, but you have to understand you have to work first and then you get to play. Once you once you confuse that step, it's going to be very hard to get them back. We complain about how kids are in this generation now versus when we grew up and all of that. There's really no comparison, because they have tools at their disposal that we just didn't have. So because we didn't have those tools, that they have, we had to make do with what we had, and a lot of times all we really had was each other, and we had to help each other out. Now they can Google their way out of certain situations. But yeah, as far as being a cool parent is concerned, I want to talk for a minute about other parents who say to the cool parents that they're not good parents because they too busy trying to be a friend to their kids instead of being a parent. What do you think when you hear somebody say that? If you've heard somebody say that, what comes to your mind when you hear that? When you hear somebody
when
say
someone is being a friend to their, that means that.
No, when you hear other parents say it, have you ever heard any parents say that about some parents?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay, yeah. What will you think? What did it make you think when you heard them say it?
That there is somebody absent in their life, and they are just trying to relate to their child. So if it's a mother, a grandfather, father, if they're trying to relate to their kids, then 9 times out of 10, the mother or the parent or the custodial parent, whoever is raising that child, has heard of their own. Because I think that I pretty much, I can visualize how that's happening. If a parent is saying that they are doing that, then that means to me that they didn't have a childhood growing up, and they are the ones that are on their kids' level. And there are so many kids and babies having babies nowadays that they don't know how to be a parent or a mother. And that's why you see so many different situations and scenarios where there are crimes and, them abandoning their kids and leaving them at home and going to do them. And that one story that just killed me when I saw how those kids lived in that house, I think it was in Michigan for years, and I'm like,
yeah, I heard about that. No, but
what the hell?
Mm-hmm. But what I was asking you really is how not. I wasn't really asking you about what they are, what they mean, but I mean like how does it make you feel when you hear? Okay, when I hear certain adults or certain parents say that they just these other parents over here. This is the problem. People trying to be friends with their kids instead of being a parent. Whenever I hear somebody say that, I always think to myself like, well, how do you know that they're trying to be a friend to their kids? How do you know that? Mm-hmm. And if you're not being a friend or friendly to your kids, what are you being? Like, What's the opposite of that? Do you want to be, they saying, well, the opposite of that is being a parent to your kids. But a parent is not the opposite of what a friend is. The opposite of what a friend is would be an enemy. So do you want to put yourself in a position where your child is always angry with you or resentful of you or frustrated with you or whatever? Is that the parenting style that you want, where you are always pointing the finger, where you're always bringing the hammer down, where you're never listening, where you're always implementing things the way you want them in the way that you think it should be? That's what always comes to my mind, because you don't really know anybody's situation besides your own. So I always wonder so I always wonder what made them say that they just want to be a friend to their kids instead of being their parents. Cheryl Halsey.
You never know what they're thinking, to be honest, because when you see so many different stories that happen I be thinking in my mind, like, you don't know. You truly don't know. So at the end of the day, I don't judge a book by its cover. I give people the benefit of the doubt until they give me a reason to actually look at them differently.
Okay.
You know?
All right. We have another caller on the line. Caller with the last number is 9843. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How you feeling tonight?
Hi. I'm okay. Just bothered with pink eye.
Oh God, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. But no, my mom was a very cool mom, and I think I took her.
Man, the whole call dropped. Why? Hold on. Let me try this one. The app just dropped. That's what happened. It definitely wasn't the caller's fault. The call just dropped. The call went bye-bye. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. Uh-oh.
Please leave your message.
Okay. Well, I guess when the callers, they can call back in. I want to welcome everybody to the Daily Go Getimism show. Sorry for the technical difficulties as far as the callers were concerned. Callers, if you are within the sound of my voice, please call back in and we can finish our dialogue. We are talking about the troubles of the cool mom, You know, how are you able to love your children, have fun with your children, enjoy having and being with your children, while also commanding respect from your children, setting boundaries and respecting boundaries between you and your children, and making sure that you have children or raising children that are well adjusted. How can you do that and still make sure that you get maximum effort out of your children, or that you don't create irresponsible children, reckless children, narcissistic children? You know, like how do you be the cool parent and still be the best parent? You know, when I hear people say that, you know, they don't want to, they want to be a friend to their kids instead of being a parent to their kids. Always look at the person that's saying that. Like, I mean, you know, it always made me wonder, like, what's your relationship with your own children? Do you like the fact that you have children? You know what I mean? Because I couldn't imagine being on go like that. Okay, hold on.
You have a call from
caller with the last number is 9843. Welcome to the Daily Go Getimism show. Sorry for the drop call before.
Yeah, it could have been my phone too. Yeah, but like I was saying, what I was taught, I passed down to my children. Like I say, even though we were young and having kids, but morals and principles don't change to me.
Okay.
You know, and like I said, it was always a house full of kids. Basically, I was the person that done the chest pipe and what have you. And my husband helped too, with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
He teach them what they needed to know. But I enjoy with my children. I know my daughter got grown and she was like, Mama, you can teach me how to cook. Well, I just allowed them to be themselves. I didn't want to take their childhood away. No, not like that. I was very conscious of that, and I didn't want them to be like me. I wanted them to enjoy themselves. They just needed to, get out there and go to school.
Yeah.
And do something for themselves, and which they did. They all graduated. And so I think, we've done pretty good as parents, young parents. So, yeah, but, being a cool mom is fine,
Mm-hmm.
and as long as they're taught to respect, like I said, they can say anything they want, we taught them whatever's on your mind, speak on it, but just keep it respectful, and always respect your elders. And like you could say, they still do the same thing, even though they're grown,
Yeah.
But, it's good. It's all good. And I think it was a great topic, that's something that a lot of children need to hear. Kids need to hear that more, You still try to teach it to them. And, it's what this world needs more of right now. I know it's hard. It's hard to do with all the social media and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I just wanted to give that a little bit because I can't type much because it's all gonna pink eye.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. I really do. Each and every time.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for everything.
Take care.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good stuff. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to ask y'all the same thing that I was asking the caller before. Let's see. Let's do this. If y'all can, let's participate. List 3 things that you think make a person that would make a parent a cool mom or a cool dad. List 3 things that you think would make them a cool mom or a cool dad in a bad way or in a detrimental way. Like I consider to be like if you let your underage children drink with you, smoke with you, and things like that, I think that's being a cool parent, but I think it's being a cool parent in a negative way. For me, being a cool parent would be being an understanding parent, being a responsible parent, being a parent who listens instead of passing judgment or always being the I don't want to say demonstrative, but I want to, instead of being a parent that's always disciplining from maybe a scolding standpoint. Yeah, that's what I mean. A scolding parent. Yeah. So if that's the case, because I think we need to see the differences in what we think a cool parent may be, what a cool mom or a cool dad may be, because I don't think that there's any cookie cutter thing, but I want ideas. I want to see what we think a cool mom might do, a cool dad might do, cool parents might do. Yeah. On the negative side, a cool parent might let you, may let you have sex in the house. And they may say something like, well, I didn't approve for them to have sex, but kids gonna have sex and I would rather I would rather them do whatever they're gonna do in the house rather than to be out there in the streets where they could get hurt. I'm like, okay, I got a good one. I have a good one. If your parent, mom or dad or both, if they put their daughter on birth control, does that make them, or would that make them, a cool parent? In a good way, if you say yes, would you say it makes them a good parent or a cool parent in a good way or in a bad way? If, and you can say birth control, or you can say the parent that gives their son condoms and possibly sexual advice. Cool parent? Yes or no? If yes, good cool parent. Not so cool parent. Not so good cool parent. What do you think? If a parent puts their daughter on birth control, they're not necessarily saying go out there and have sex. But what they're saying is, if you're going to have sex, and I know that you will, don't bring home no babies. Don't bring home no babies. If you bring home a baby, then you must be crazy, because we ain't doing that. Yo, you're going on the pill at this particular time. Yeah, I know it sounds wild, but I ain't trying to take care of you and another child. Yo, yeah, 16 years of your life. And I know the pressure's out here making you trife. And you already been acting like somebody done popped the cherry. Yeah, act like you don't hear me. When I be telling you stuff, you used to be the best little kid, but it wasn't enough. And now I see you learning and growing, maybe not in the right direction, but yo, that erection that might have coming to visit you. I ain't trying to have no living with you. Okay, all right. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? If a parent puts their child on birth control, okay, Marissa Allberg says condoms equals cool parent. Yeah.
You have a call from
Troy.
Well, I'll be damned. I might as well tell you who I am. I am the capital LYT. What's going on, man? How you feeling, my dude?
What's going on, family?
Brother to brother. You already know.
Man to man. I'm a fan of fans.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So, did you see that that YouTube text I sent you today?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's funny as hell.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, you said 3 things that make you a good parent. 3 things that make you a good parent, but a bad parent at the same time.
No, we're talking about the cool parent. But we're talking about cool in a good way and cool in a bad way.
Okay, cool in the gang in a good way, and cool in the gang in a bad way. I mean, still cool, but you know what I mean. Well, I think that let's think about 3 things. First of all, you said if you put your daughter on birth control, that makes you a good parent.
No, I'm asking. Would you consider if a parent puts their child on birth control, if they put their daughter on birth control, would you consider that to be a cool parent? And if so, cool good or cool not so good?
Okay, well, first and foremost, they must have had you had the conversation with them, and they might you found out either they active or she wants to get active, because sometimes, you know, some little girls go to their parent to speak on that. So I think that makes them a good parent, because you're being responsible and letting them know it's not a good thing that even if you have a boyfriend and if y'all active, it's not a good thing to be. Not a good thing for you to have a child at this time.
Mm-hmm.
When that time comes, we sit down and we have a discussion about it. But right now, me being a mother or us, because when you have a 2-parent household, it's always good that y'all discuss that situation together.
All three. You know, even when it comes to your son, you want to have that discussion with just you and your boy. But when it comes to the girl, all three got to be together.
Okay.
You know, the man thing is more of a rite of passage.
Okay.
The girl thing, she has to have understanding that both the parents are involved in this situation in her life and want to make sure that they know this. You know, but it's a responsible thing to tell your kids, look, I know you out there doing something because you have a boyfriend, but just because you have a boyfriend, you out there doing something, you also would like to live your life. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially you know, like some of these kids out here have got potential to go to, like, hypothetically, let's say your son has a potential. He's a great, tremendous ball player, getting all these looks from colleges and everything, and all this stuff. You don't want your son out there going around doing things with other females, you know, raw dog. You want to be able to tell them, look, first of all, if you're going to have sex with any female, make sure you have your own condoms. Because if you got the potential to be something and be great, if they give you a condom, they might punch holes in it. And you would never know because you're not in the heat of passion. You don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's always good to be responsible. Like, I had a cousin that played for Roman Catholic, and he had a point here. He was great. He played ball, went to Penn State and played basketball and all this other stuff. And like I sat down and had a conversation with him. You know, listen, if you're doing this, you're doing that. Don't make when you have making decisions on being intimate with a young lady. You know, you got a girlfriend. Make sure you protect yourself just so you can be great without having so much responsibility on yourself at this time. When the time comes after you're ready, then you know you're ready. We can have another conversation.
Okay. So I'm thinking that if a parent or parents put their daughter on birth control pills, it can be looked at in two ways. Whether you're the cool parent or not, that's relative. I would say, well, I can't say whether that's the cool parent or not, because I've known parents who had daughters that weren't even sexually active, but they thought that they were, and they put them on a pill. And I know that because I was friends with the girls. You know what I'm saying? During that time. So they mom or they dad or whatever, it was always the mom. The mom was so worried about, the daughter getting pregnant, whatever, that she went ahead and forced her to get on the pill. I'm not sure that would be the cool mom, because that wasn't getting put on the pill wasn't done out of it wasn't necessarily done out of love. She wasn't the cool mom. She was actually the mean mom. But she was making sure that you took care of that reproductive business. But at the same time, a lot of people might say that you're not being a responsible parent, because if you put your daughter on birth control, first of all, you are compromising her hormonal activity. You know what I mean? Those pills are not 100% safe at all. You know what I'm saying? A lot of women have taken birth control pills for years and found themselves to be sterile or have complications having children after they got off of the pills. And some people might say that, yeah, you preach no babies, but you ain't say nothing about no STDs, because birth control pills don't protect you against no STDs. Now, I don't know if they know that whether the parents told them to use both. I'm a put you on the pill, but I want you to use condoms too, and maybe some of them did. But you can clearly see the parents' area of focus, which was making sure that no babies crop up out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So being a cool parent in that situation is hard to gauge, Now, in the comments, Maritza Allberg said, suggesting or giving condoms to your teenagers would probably equal being a cool parent. And I probably would have to lean that way, because normally parents who suggest or that push the envelope for condoms with they kids normally have open lines of communications with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Because because it's hard to have that discussion about what you should do with these things as far as condoms are concerned without I don't know nobody that just throw condoms at them and be like, yeah, you figure it out. You know what I mean? There's normally a conversation. And if I found that parents who suggest or give condoms to their teenagers are normally more communicative and more allowing of communication to take place. So, possibly that's the cool parent thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to being a cool parent. But let me ask you, do you consider yourself to be a cool parent?
Well, I consider myself to be a cool, responsible parent. Yes, I would love to be friends with my kids, but at the end of the day, I have to go back to my upbringing because I heard the other guests was talking about their upbringing, and my upbringing was different. My mom was my mom. My dad, like I told you, I didn't have the response that. I think I said that my father wasn't there for me because my grandfather was there for me. He was somewhat jealous of me and his father's relationship. Which I still call bullshit on because who wouldn't want to have a bond with who would not want to have a bond with their son and their son to have a bond with their father.
Mm.
So I think that was somewhat selfish. And with doing that, you just didn't show love to your son because of your jealousy of a little kid. And that's not right. But I
didn't say nothing.
Oh, so with that being said, my mom was my mom. Because if she was my friend, I wouldn't have to fake so many asthma attacks. So she would whip my ass.
Mm-hmm. Now, so you don't think that a parent can be your parent and still? Now we talking about the cool parent. Their degrees.
Well, the parent can still be cool, but she can't be cool to this. She still has to be a parent. She can't overstep her boundaries. Now, if you're in a single parent household, I think it's more that parent has to be a parent. She can be a cool parent, but then she has to be a responsible parent. Because you got to also realize that when you're in a single parent household, some of the kids become latchkey kids.
Yeah.
So with that being said, she has to be. She can't be your friend. She has to be more of your parent because she needs you to be responsible when she's not around.
Why?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Why do you think that there's a separation between being a cool parent and being a parent? Well, maybe you should explain what does a parent do that a cool parent doesn't?
What a parent does, and this is pretty much. Let's just talk about if you're in a single parent household and that's your mother. 9 times out of 10, it's your mother that's the single parent that's taking care of the kid. Right. Now I don't know about today's parent because I always try to say that today's young lady cannot compare to back in the days young lady, especially if they got kids. Because that woman woke up, she made breakfast, she got you ready for school, she made sure you were well groomed, she got you to school, made sure then when she came home from work, after working 8, 9, maybe 10 hours, she came in the house, cooked dinner, made sure you done your homework, made sure you got in the bath, she disciplined you, she gave you whatever you needed, and then when she had more, she gave you She gave you what you wanted. So that's the making of a great parent. And then at the end of the day, she made sure that if she had a daughter, she could take care of the daughter aspect. But she made sure that she put you in had a responsible male in your life that can help guide you through the treacherous waters of life as a young man. So that being said, yes, you can still have fun and still be a parent, but when you're in a single parent household, you have to separate friendship and parenting, because you have to be more of a stern parent. Because if you're not stern and you're sitting up here, there's no way in God's green earth anybody parent should be smoking weed with their parents.
I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that makes you a cool parent.
No, you're not a cool parent, and I don't care what age you are. Mm-hmm. I don't care what age you are. I don't care if you're 1 or 101. You know, there's no way in God's green earth you should be drinking around, y'all drinking together. I'm saying if you had a barbecue and y'all at the house and everybody drinking. But going smoking weed together, hey man, you want to hit this mom? No, that don't sound good to me. Yeah, it don't sound right to me. It doesn't. You rolling the blunts for your mom? It doesn't sound responsible to me. It doesn't say, well, we cool. No, it just means that you're an asshole. You allowing that to happen. Okay. You know, like with my son, I always when my son got older, he came to us and said, because he was going through some depression and he was going through a lot of stress, and he said he did homework on it. And he said, I really don't want mom and dad, I don't want to be on any type of pill, you know, but I'm going to talk to my doctor about medical marijuana. And we was like, why? He explained it to us and he got emotional about telling us. So, you know, at the end of the day, we have to respect him as a young man, that he came to us and talked to us about it. Then he done the homework on it. He took all that out of us. He took all the responsibility of us having to look that up. He then came to us and talked to us about it. So, I mean, I respect that, and he was grown. You know, one thing I try to say is that us as parents, we once they become young adults and adults, you already guided them to where they have to be. They have to do. Now you have to make sure you're just there for them if they should slip and fall. You understand what I'm saying? The only parent, what makes a parent a bad parent is that you're not being responsible enough. If you come home from work and you see your son with $250, $300 pair of Jordans on, and you didn't give him the money, it's your responsibility to ask him about that.
Okay. All right. I do, but let me break this down. When I think about what I think a cool parent is versus a parent. For me, a cool parent moves with more compassion, understanding, and trust. And trust. That's what I think cool parents do. So they make it. They keep they breed a ground where their kids can come to them and talk to them and know that they're gonna be heard, and they're gonna get, you know, good guidance or whatever. They're not necessarily going to get smacked up or punished because they told the truth or were forthcoming about something. For me, a parent is one who moves with a lot of discipline and rigidity, and probably doesn't listen to the child very much, or doesn't have a lot of respect for the child's ideas and things like that. So both of them can raise children effectively, I believe. But if your parents were mean, if you knew that you was going to get your ass whooped every time you made a mistake, or if you did something on purpose, you're not going to willingly share what's going on in your life and in your world with your parents. You're not going to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas with the cool parent, may have the benefit of knowing what's going on with their kids at all times, because they made a space for their kids to be able to tap in with them and express themselves to them and release whatever is going on with them to their parents. So if you know that you can trust your parents to listen, to not, put your business out there with all your aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmom, and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's the cool mom. That's the cool parent. The parent that you can count on, that you can go to, that you can get help from, that you can learn from. That's what, and I'm just saying, this is my version of what cool is. This is not any official thing, but that's what I would consider that's what I would consider a cool parent to do. And I know.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that's what I had with my mom and my dad. I didn't really realize that made them cool. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you never really realized what makes them cool, because you always think that they're trying to take away your fun time. And you're not, as a kid, you're not really understanding what they're doing. We don't appreciate it until we get older and have an understanding of, oh, that's what they was doing. Like my oldest son, when a cool parent is when you a mother and you got responsibility of a man's son, right?
Yeah. And
you see him acting out. A cool parent say, well, he's going to have to go stay with his dad because I need him to grow into a man, and I need a male presence in his life.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool parent. You made the right decision for him. An uncool parent is when the mother gets jealous of the fact that the father is married and the woman is also being there for the son. So you take them back. You take them back because you're jealous of the relationship that he has with the father's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn back around, his wife did a tailspin after that, because that's what happened to me. And my oldest son from 2010 to 2020 was in and out of jail, more in than out.
Okay.
And one thing I told, like I told him, like last Friday when I called him while he was at work, and I told him, in the time that he was in and out of jail, he lost his mother and he lost his grandmother, my mother. So, like I told him, number one, time waits for nobody. So when you in jail, time don't stop. It keeps going. So when you lose loved ones,
mm-hmm.
and you're not able to be there, that's not nobody's fault but your own. And then I tried to tell him on Friday, because he's doing great, and he listens to me now. Okay. And like I told him, I say, listen, I'm so proud of the man that you're growing into. And now that you have your own son, that you have an understanding of what I tried to teach you. The person that you change it into in the way that you are is a beautiful thing to see, and I'm proud of you as a father. And just keep up the good work, man. Keep up the good work. Don't let nobody turn that around. So at the end of the day, when you're dealing with situations like that, you have to be, even if you're a parent that has a daughter, if you're a man that has a daughter, and you see her acting out and doing things that she's not supposed to be doing, as a young lady, you might have to turn around and say, listen, I'm going to need you to go stay with your mother. I'm going to need you to stay with your mother. Because at the end of the day, it's not about your pride. It's for what's the betterment for the child. And that's what makes you a cool parent.
Okay. So do you think that your son might consider you to be a cool parent?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because
because even still, when we was, but the thing is, like, I'm going to give you an instance, right?
Wait. Before you do that, because because we wind it down. So I want to make sure.
I know.
I want to make sure that we get some things nailed down. I don't think that you can be. I don't think that you can not be considered to be a cool parent if you've shown a lot of patience with your children.
Right. That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
One thing that a parent,
like you personally, you have a daughter, right? It is different because and I know you. You ain't let nobody fuck with your daughter. I know you like the back of my hand. You know what I mean?
right? I mean, that's any dad.
But no, it's not any dad. Because any dad, some dads don't understand how to do that. Some dads don't know how to, for instance,
Don't know how to what?
Don't know how to deal with a young lady.
Oh,
So like for instance, I'm gonna give you for instance. One time my daughter did something, right? Either she did something in school that was real major, or she did something at home that was real major. I don't like to put my hands on it. My grandfather told me not to put my hands on the woman. And I don't like to put my hands on my daughters. So when I had to discipline my daughter, when I got done, I started crying. Because that was something emotional for me, because normally I can just give them a look and they straighten up. But this time I had to discipline them. My oldest daughter, same way. But she was even worse because she was highly disrespectful.
yeah.
To the point where, when I tell you she fought me, and son,
Listen,
the
man.
one major fight that I had with my oldest daughter, this girl, I'm holding her down, right? And I'm trying to tell her, calm down, stop fighting me. This girl went from her bowels and spit in my face, bro. When I tell you, if them braids didn't cover her face, I would be locked up today. Because I don't care if you're a young lady and you do that shit, you gotta realize somebody's gonna black out on you.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I blacked out. And then the thing about it is, she turned back around and bleached my clothes and my shoes and my Timberlands and stuff. Then when my mom called the cops up to the house,
Okay, hold on. Let's keep it going.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, because all right. So one thing that you're definitely outlining is that are some of the pitfalls of being the cool parent.
Cool parent, yeah.
Yeah, there can be a lot of challenges. You know what I'm saying? And whether losing your patience might be one, or having your patience tested. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may have to be in a situation where you're pretty much disciplining yourself, just trying to hold it together, keep it together, do the best that you can, do the best job that you can, because kids will test you. Now from a child's standpoint, there's no telling what might be considered to be a cool parent versus being a parent. But whenever I don't know if you were on earlier when I was talking to Vita, and I was saying how I always feel some kind of way when I hear somebody say, these parents out here trying to be friends with their kids instead of being a parent. And I'm thinking, like, I think that as long as you establish boundaries and you respect balance, I think that you can be both. You know what I mean?
You can be.
But it also depends. It also depends on what you consider a friend to be. I don't see anything wrong with being a friend to your parent. I mean, a friend to your kids. But just like your kids would have friends, just like friends don't let friends drive drunk. Friends don't let friends go into dangerous situations. Friends don't let friends play themselves or get played. So that's the same, you know, we make being a friend to somebody actually sound like a bad thing. And having a friend is not a bad thing, you know, but just like any other thing, you have to make sure that you're putting certain things in their proper places and in their proper perspective. And if you're not doing that, then it's not going to come out right. So when being a cool parent, earlier in the show we was talking about how because you were trying, because of your guilt for whatever reason, dealing with raising your kids, you may allow them to do things that may get them into trouble because you didn't want to be the bad guy. You didn't want to tell them no. Like earlier in the show, I used the example about, let's say, as a man, as a father, when your child was like anywhere between newborn and 3 years old, let's say you got locked up and you did 10 bones in the joint, right? And then you come home, you might be feeling guilty about all of that time you missed with your baby. You know what I mean? Male or female. So maybe to compensate for the time when you were gone and you were inaccessible, maybe you try to buy them everything that they want or let them do anything that they want. You know what I mean? Because you're allowing your guilt to govern how you raise your kids, how
it's
you
like having a guilt complex.
But yeah,
pretty much. It's, you know, and I had a cousin that was like that. When she came home, matter of fact, she went to the rehab because she was on drugs real heavy. And you know, when she came home, right, me and my mom and my brothers, and my sister was taking care of her son.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but my mom but we assisted, we helped. So, you know, when we did all that and everything, it just, when she came home, she felt so guilty about the situation. She just allowed things to get out of hand.
Right.
You know, and allowed him to do whatever he wanted to do. And she bought him everything that she might wanted to buy him. But like I had to explain, I said, you still have to be the parent. You have to, regardless of what you did, you know, he still going to have to respect you.
That's true.
You know, I don't care if he's seen you smoke drugs and do it all that. As a parent, you still, and then I had to sit down with him and say, you know, even if your mother was out there doing drugs, now it's up for you to be great so you can help her be even greater. You don't go out there and be a badass and do stupid shit,
right?
And put more pressure on her that can make her relapse.
Yeah,
you know. So I'm sitting up here and I'm explaining to him that you still have to be a parent. I'm gonna try my best to be a male part of him and let him know. Listen, if you do something bad, and it's to the point where it's made you, oh yes, I'm gonna grip you up underneath your neck. But other than that, you know, I can't do much more than that. You know. And that's the whole thing. That's everything in a nutshell when it comes to being a great parent. Being a great parent means staying humble, sacrifice, understanding, you know, being responsible. And you can, and all that, you can still have fun. And you can still be the cool parent. I don't know when to step in.
I don't want to put the negative connotation on the word cool.
No, you're not.
Yeah, but a lot of people would, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. I'm like, how can you be cool and bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. But I understand.
Well, let's say irresponsible then.
Well, but
you be cool and be irresponsible.
We're going to say that's right, which would make you cool in a negative way, which to me doesn't make you cool. You're not cool because you don't govern, or that you don't discipline, or that you don't regulate, or that you don't say anything. That don't make you cool. You know what I'm saying? You know, of course, to a child, to a young child, is going to make you cool because they don't know no better. Kids like people who let them do whatever they want. I get that.
And that's what, and then soon, and that's the thing that takes me out. Like some parents, like I'm gonna tell you something, son. That's why I said to somebody before. I said if I was in the city council and I was the mayor, I would make a law that if a kid from the age of 10 up until 21 commit a crime with a gun, I will also charge the parent with that. I said, and I would charge them according to if if you blatantly knew that your son was selling drugs, and you allowed him to give you money from that, or he sold drugs to you from that, and you didn't prevent him from killing somebody or somebody killing him, that's on you. Being a cool parent means you won't have to go. A cool parent is going to go in their kid's room and look underneath their bed and see what they're doing. Or let me check your phone. You know what I'm saying? Or let me check your closet. Or let me check around in the basement to see if he hiding a gun. Because if you got them 250, 300-pound pair of Jordans and some Amari pink jeans, and whatever the shirts they got out right now, like $400 or $500, and I know I'm not buying it.
Okay.
A cool parent checks on the kid.
True. Well, they should. But on the flip side of that, if by the rule you just said that you would implement, when a child wins awards like I don't know, honor roll or a degree or something like that, or some kind of trophy or whatever, should the parents get one too?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I'm saying their award is the award that their child gets. It doesn't mean that you're getting an award per se. But when you see that you put the work in and they put the work in, that's your reward.
Yeah, but if you're going to lock parents up because of
no, I'm not talking. If they're not being responsible for their kids, like I'm not just going to go lock them up. I'm going to investigate. I'm going to go to some of the neighbors and people on the block. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to ask questions. See, you have to come up with a concept and then figure out how can you build around that concept. Because at the end of the day, we have to make parents responsible.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand making them responsible. I don't know if you can make them accountable. Like,
well, if they're, you got to try to find, how can you have to find a way to make them accountable, because if they're being their friends and they're contributing to their downfall, or they're contributing to not making sure that they're being good parents, then we have to make sure that they're held accountable. If you know situations can get there, because you can't get on the news and say, "Oh, my son wasn't involved with no gangs," and all the neighborhood knew he was a badass. Okay. You can't get on TV and say that.
Well, I don't know. I think something like that would have to be explored and tweaked a whole lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree with that. Explore it, tweak it, but hope somebody has to be. Because see, one thing I told my son before: if I don't discipline you, society is going to discipline you.
Right. All right. We gotta go, my dude.
Well, I wish I called in early, because this was a great conversation for the little bit of time we was on.
We'll be back tomorrow with an even hotter one. Trust.
Oh, well, you know that. You know that.
I got you.
Oh, you're born. Before you go, they lost that Supreme Court election in Wisconsin that he went.
That $2 million ain't buy the joy, huh?
No, it didn't buy. They lost.
Well. I mean, that's indicative. That motherfuckers fed up with this shit. They ain't going for it.
That's the beginning. That's the beginning.
All right, man. Yo, appreciate you as always.
All day, bro. Anything for my brother, man. Much love.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Good stuff, man. Let's take a look at this poll. Before we do the birthday shout outs, let's have a look at the poll. The poll results: out of 22 votes, Do you think that you can be a friend to your children and still have their respect? 73% says yes, boundaries and balance are key. 9% says no, be a parent, keep them in line. 14% says my kids don't give me trouble. And 5% says my kids are out of control. All right. Well, as you can see, man, there may be different degrees of being cool or being a good parent. A lot of people don't believe that you can be a cool parent and be a good and effective parent at the same time. I can't speak on that one way or another, but I know that if I had to choose to be whether a friend to my child or an enemy to my child, I'm going to pick being a friend to my child all day. All right, let's get this thing popping. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious April 1st, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. We get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. We get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. We get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box, my girl, Jersey. Stand up. Angie, love is a gamble. Happy birthday to you. And from Cardinal Doherty, and also Bunny Merrick, Terrence Bing, Gypsy John, Latoya Doman, Rashida Ingersoll, Laverne Briggs, Shakira Marshall, Gwen Lawrence, April Ford, Took by Black, Janet Boston, and last but not least, Nita Smith. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious. April 1st, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on into the jam to rock out. Rock on into the damn rock out. Rock on into the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, whether you are the cool mom or dad, you still gotta make sure that you do what you gotta do. Be a friend, but make sure that you discipline till the end. Nobody wants to see the kids do bad, and even if you ever did, then that means that you had a lot of mental problems. Maybe you were off the hook, psychotic as a motherfucker, bad luck, and I took some time to make sure that you were shook when you did the wrong thing because you are a king or a queen. Yeah, for real. Nah, I mean, we gonna make sure that we do this thing and split the scene. But speaking of scene, I got the camera, you got the mic. We're going to make the movie this thing tonight. And I love y'all. Love you more than anything. So you got to do this thing with me and I swing. And I got to wing. Yo, turkey or chicken, we gonna make sure that we alive and we kicking, and we ain't gonna stop until we close our eyes for the very last time. We gonna say these things. The rhymes got the truth in it. We got the booth in it. We made sure that there's no mystery spoof in it. We don't know what the next day will bring us, but we gonna make sure that we get there and don't fuss at each other. We ain't got to be in disagreement, but even if we are, I respect you, Star, and you respect me. And ain't nothing wrong with respecting the kids. When you was young, you wish they did. Maybe you wasn't shown the love that you needed, but at least you wasn't laid out on streets, broken, bleeding. Yo, well, a lot of things can happen to us, but yo, people judging us that never knew us, talking about them being friends to my baby instead of being a parent. Well, it's apparent to me you can't see. Maybe you're blind, blind. Yo, I ain't trying to hear get behind me. Follow my example, and the amples are set. Yo, you want to make sure that this shit is what we get. That's what you get. Ha, ha, ha. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. You know, let's give it another try. Peace, y'all. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. Love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow night for another Daily Go Getimism show. So make sure y'all come on through, because it's going to be a stone cold gas, honeys. You know what I mean? Shout out, rest in peace to Don Cornelius. Hit the like button, y'all. Share the show. Subscribe to the channel if you ever subscribed to the channel yet. Don't be a hater for all your life. All right, y'all. Thanks everybody for coming through. Thanks for everybody who called in. Thanks for everybody for participating and considering coming through on the channel. Peace.